This is an essay I'd like to read out now, penned by one Cullen Gallagher on Hold Back the Night 1956, directed by our friend Allan Dwan. Hold Back the Night 1956, a Korean War movie about a Marine captain and his lucky bottle of scotch, was made for Allied artists, the more prestigious reorganization of Poverty Row staple Monogram, known for producing genre products of a more ambitious bent. Wichita 1955, The Phoenix City Story 1955, and several edgy maverick thrillers from the then up-and-coming Don Siegel, Riot in Cell Block 11 1954, Crime in the Streets 1956, and Invasion of the Body Snatchers 1956. Dwan's film is characteristic of their B-prestige output, unorthodox approach to genre material, and high level of craftsmanship. Hold Back the Night tells the story of EZ Company under the leadership of Captain Sam Mackenzie, John Payne. When the Chinese army invades Korea, EZ Company is forced to retreat while performing reconnaissance on the advancing Chinese army. With the enemy hot on their trail, faced with treacherous winter climate and lacking proper clothing, rations, ammunition, and transportation, Mackenzie knows all too well that this is less of a retreat than a suicide mission. Though the Chinese army could be hiding around every bend, there is a more omnipresent, more deadly enemy: the elements. Guns run out of bullets, tanks run out of gas, and every skirmish eventually ends, but the fatally cold weather never gives up its fight against the human body. Intertwined with EZ Company's retreat, however, is the story of Mackenzie's lucky bottle of scotch. Through a series of flashbacks, we learn the history of the bottle, which doubles as the history of Sam's personal life in all its highs and lows: love and loss, joy and sorrow, pain and reconciliation. The bottle, we find, was given to him by his then girlfriend and later wife, Anne, played by Mona Freeman, back in 1942 before he left for Guadalcanal. Save it for a time when things couldn't get worse or for some great victory, Anne says. You mean save it for a very special occasion, Sam clarifies. Throughout the retreat, Mackenzie will be tempted to open the bottle, whether to motivate his troops forward or to celebrate their doom. Yet it remains closed in his stubborn belief that the best of times, or worst of times, are yet to come. John C. Higgins and Walter Toniger's adaptation of Pat Frank's source novel excises many of Frank's supplementary scenes, including tactical discussions between commanding officers, the interrogation of an American soldier captured by the Chinese, and extra-narrative digressions into the past lives of Mackenzie's men. The result is a tightly knit script of concentrated desolation. By limiting the focus to Mackenzie, Higgins, and Doniger, make EZ Company's experience more forlorn than in the novel, and by removing the bigger picture scenes of military strategists, the screenwriters stress the abandonment and uncertainty of the soldiers' circumstances. Under Dwan's direction, Hold Back the Night is decidedly fatalistic, doom-laden, and devoid of patriotic sentimentality. One senses a deep connection between Dwan and John Payne as Mackenzie. Payne, as moody as Mitchum but with more vulnerability and less ego, has a stoicism right in sync with Dwan's own reserved directorial personality. There's a cold, grim determination to Dwan's style and nothing preachy or moralistic to his vision. An amalgam of seemingly contradictory manners, at times Hold Back the Night resembles the grim, anxious despair of Anthony Mann's Korean War drama Men in War 1957, while at others it suggests the gleeful, masculine, military camaraderie of Rock Price Glory, both Walsh's 1926 and Ford's 1952. Yet viewed within the greater context of Dwan's entire body of work, Hold Back the Night reveals the director's extraordinary tonal diversity and genre range, and his capacity for maintaining stylistic level-headedness and even-handedness throughout. There are traces here of numerous films from Dwan's past, from the shore-leave romantic comedy of Abroad with Two Yanks, 1944, to the practical problems of wartime romance of Rendezvous with Annie, 1946, to the grim combat portrayal of Sands of Iwo Jima, 1949. Mackenzie's flashbacks, allowing Dwan the opportunity to shift the mood of Hold Back the Night, temporarily leave the grave combat scenes behind and embrace the more comedic side of his directorial personality. In one of his flashbacks, Mackenzie remembers surprising his girlfriend, Anne Mona Freeman, while on leave, only to discover that she has been dating in his absence. The more excited Anne's obliviously jaunty date gets about his cheese plate, the grumpier Mackenzie becomes. The contrasting personalities and masculine rivalries played for obvious laughs, yet Dwan underscores the laughs with adult resignation. Anne is not judged negatively for seeing other men while Mackenzie was away, while Mackenzie comes off not like a war-hardened man but a selfish child. Hold Back the Night features two modern female characters of remarkable emotional maturity and sexual sophistication. not only Anne, but Kitty, Audrey Dalton, who appears in one of Mackenzie's Scotch bottle reveries as his intended one-night stand during leave in World War II. Back in her room, however, Kitty and Mackenzie come clean about the significant others they are separated from. Anne is back in America, and Kitty's husband is overseas fighting the Japanese. Every night, Kitty listens as Japanese radio recites a list of American prisoners, waiting to hear if he has been captured. As with Anne, Dwan respects Kitty's emotional and sexual needs. She's with Mackenzie for the same reason he's with her, but that doesn't negate the love and longing she still feels for her husband, nor the loneliness in his absence. Moments such as these, some of the most touching scenes in any of Dwan's films, contrast greatly with the grim battle scenes in Korea. These scenes apart, however, the main tenor of Hold Back the Night is male pain. Whether in the wide-open snowy mountains of Korea, the momentary confines of a tent, or the fleeting false comfort of a hotel room, whether surrounded by fellow Marines, in the arms of a woman, or all by his lonesome, Mackenzie's in a state of perpetual alienation, unable to find solace, peace of mind, or someone to confide in and share the depth of his feelings. No matter what the circumstance, he is always alone, always performing as an officer, a leader, a soldier, a lover, a friend, a rival, a one-night stand. Mackenzie is always working, always acting, always fulfilling a masculine role that he is forced to play. When Mackenzie drunkenly holds his phone upside down during a fight with Anne, ignorant that the girl he thinks of on the other end of the line is actually a few feet away, broad humour belies a deeper root of emotional devastation. There's a purity and simplicity to Dwan's vision in his pared-down aesthetic, an arsenal of silent-era Arsenal strategies. Long shots provide Dwan's more ambitious and artistically composed images. They are, in a way, his directorial calling card. Von Sternberg's close-ups arouse rapture and eros, and Offel's tracking shots find a transcendental and redemptive beauty through movement, but for Dwan, long shots are a way to metaphysically distance himself from the narrative and evoke an objective grandeur and grander truth. Long shots not only give Hold Back the Night a seemingly epic expanse, but they emphasize the utility of the mission and the existential crises faced by the protagonists. The verisimilitude of the long shots filmed in the great outdoors, however, clash with the phoniness of the studio-filmed inserts, such as shots of the Chinese army in the mountains with mortars and machine guns. Both, however, share a common cheapness, whereas the shots obviously shot on a soundstage reveal their implicit fiction. The matter-of-fact simplicity of the outdoors footage seems all the more believable for its unromantic, deadpan demeanour. In the 7 years since Sands of Iwo Jima, Dwan's world weariness has become even more pronounced. "Do you think I'm brave? I need to prove something," asks Peter Conway. John Agar asks his girlfriend in Sands. Mackenzie feels no such devotion to heroism. If externally he stirs troops to be brave and complete their mission, internally Mackenzie is torn by his overwhelming wish to get them back home alive at any cost, even if it means sacrificing himself and the mission. Much of Hold Back the Night deals with this impossible anxiety of acting as both a dutiful soldier and a human being with a conscience. Dwan could probably relate to Mackenzie's circumstance, a professional ordered to do a job with insufficient supplies. Mackenzie's declaration that, "well, I have to make out with what I've got," is a sentiment Dwan might well have consoled himself with many times over throughout his career. Hold Back the Night's small budget ultimately limits the film's epic scope from recapturing the visual spectacle of Sands of Iwo Jima. However, Dwan's cinematic resourcefulness gives the film a distinguishing Allan. Dwan's battle compositions are particularly ecstatic. One moment, the camera runs with enemy forces as they bombard the Marines, and the next hunkers down with the Marines in the snow, and they recall D.W. Griffith in their dynamic camera placement and orchestral tracking shots which capture the rapturous frenzy of warfare. While it may lack the bombastic orchestration and technical perfection of Sands of Iwo Jima, Hold Back the Night's in-the-moment, arrhythmic combat sequences have an almost surreal flow, with no precise beginning or ending and no narrative logic. The enemy comes and goes with phantasmic spontaneity. Nothing is gained by fighting, only impending death and defeat is prolonged. As Lieutenant Colonel Toomey tells Mackenzie, easy company is a good outfit. When you're good, you get the rugged duty. Dwan himself is no stranger to rugged duty productions, but Hold Back the Night is representative of not only his highly organised structural sense and compositional mastery, but also of the personal qualities that distinguish his craftsmanship.